Hello, this is Dr. Terry Daniels, and welcome to the Rhythm of Business podcast, our first People series. And I have with us this morning Jordan Means, who is the head of operations and legal for Storyfile. And I am excited to have Jordan as our first guest and a very impressive individual. So I look forward to hearing from her and you all hearing from her and learn more about her and Storyfile. So, Jordan, if you can just get us started and tell us a little bit about you and Storyfile.
Sure. Well, I'll give you the short version of about me. I'm as you said, head of people operations and legal at Storyfile. So it's a dual role. I'm both the HR and legal function of the company, which before I took on this role at a prior organization, I didn't really know that people did both roles. I was looking for an in-house legal job. And I stumbled upon this role at a marketing company, and I said that's intriguing. And I
Yeah.
interviewed and just really fell in love with the people operations or HR function. And so it's really a soups to nuts role. I'm an HR department of one currently.
Okay.
And so I'm both strategic, like sitting with the executive team on those strategic decisions, but also tactical as well, because I
Mhm.
am the sole HR source. So that's the work that I do. And really my goal is to ensure that I'm helping create the best place to work for the people that work at our company, but also pushing forward the objectives of the business as well.
Awesome. How do you foster that culture of collaboration as you're the HR department of one and working with a large organization like Story? How do you foster that? I know you work with executives and you've got other team members throughout the organization. How do you foster that? What are some initiatives?
Yeah, I think one big initiative that we took on as a company in 2022 is when we first started was implementing goal setting and tracking across the company. People were kind of feeling like, I really don't know how what I'm doing is contributing to the ultimate business goals, or what role am I playing in that? And so we established OKRs, and that was really to get that off the ground. It was a quarter long process of, working with the CEO to really define what the objectives and key results were for the company. And then using that foundation to train the team on how to set their own team wide OKRs, build out a dashboard so people could see where they were, how they were progressing, what we were hitting, what we weren't hitting, and things like that that really involved the entire company. Everyone got to participate. As leaders, we would meet weekly to see what's working, what's not, see what we need to shift. And it really
Mm.
just got people excited about doing the work and seeing how they were really contributing to the overall process.
I tell you what, I'm being an HR professional of 30 plus years.
Yeah.
That you're singing my language there, so you better stop before I jump back into the field of
Uh-oh.
HR. But again, as you think about the culture that you're building and the challenges that's going on in just in organizations everywhere, that
Yeah.
talent, that war for talent, how
Yeah.
are you managing the culture while trying to build that talent retention pipeline and ensure people want
Yeah.
to stay with Storyfile?
I think Storyfile's done a fabulous job of, you know, establishing that culture. I think one of our bigger challenges on the talent side is on the front end. Like some decision panic or commitment fear on the part of hiring managers to,
Hmm.
we've established a great job description. We know what we're looking for the person coming into the role. And we've set criteria to kind of score candidates when they interview, but this fear of,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready to make the hire yet. And I can think of one person in particular who's, still with the company, where there was a month and a half lag where we could have lost this really tremendous person, because we were a little bit scared to go ahead and make the hire. And I think that in general, that can happen with hiring managers and HR. should really help coach managers through,
Mm,
like, let's get this right on the front end.
yeah,
Like I said, set the JD, know the criteria, and then when we find that candidate that we know is the right fit, make the decision and get them on the team so that you're not losing that opportunity. Because there's lots of places for
yeah,
people to go. I know that there's layoffs and things like that, but there are also a lot of options for people still as
yeah,
well. And so you have to, I think, make the decision and move
yeah.
forward when you know it's the right fit.
Absolutely. And I think there's a market out there, and if anyone's got have any talent, I mean they have many options. And so I
They
think you're
do.
right. You got
Yeah,
to make that decision as quickly as possible, but you got to have the right talent as well.
exactly. I agree. And that's why, like, it starts at the beginning. Get the job description right so that it's targeting the right people,
Mhm.
that it's inclusive and you're not missing the opportunity
Yeah,
to engage with people who might be a great fit. Start there, and then I think you'll get a better pool of candidates and can make those decisions more quickly.
yeah. You have a unique role in it's a growing organization. You're the HR head of H operations and legal, sitting in one location, and it's remote in many ways.
Mhm.
Working with the executive team, working with employees in different locations. How do you build engagement? Tell the audience how do you build engagement virtually as well as in locations? A lot of organizations understand that there's a strong correlation between engagement, and performance and results.
Sure.
How do you build that engagement?
Yeah, I think it's all about being consistent and, setting up how we're going to operate as a company, so that people on the team know when they're going to hear from leadership, when they're going to have the opportunity to engage and share their thoughts. And so for us, it's this regular cadence of a weekly all staff meeting that's
Oh yeah,
remote, so it's virtual, where people have the opportunity to ask questions or contribute. And there's a pulse survey a small pulse survey on a monthly basis, like 2 or 3 questions, and then a larger one on a quarterly basis so that we can gather those insights. And then all managers across the company, a regular check in and feedback loop so that you don't have these gaps in communication and you really know you have a good read and pulse on how people are doing, how they're feeling, where they're struggling, so that we can address issues in the moment instead of
yeah,
letting things simmer. And I think that's been really important, to keeping people engaged because we faced our own set of challenges
yeah,
as a
yeah.
company.
Well, I think you're onto something for sure with that pulse survey, and
Oh yeah.
just keeping that pulse on what's going on, and meeting things in the moment. That is critically important to that engagement. So what happens when you find a situation where employees may have some discontent with maybe leadership decisions, and how have you found ways to overcome that and keep the engagement up?
Yeah, I mean, look, in any business, that's bound to happen. Not everyone is going to get, the process or the program or, the policy that they want to see implemented. They're not going to see it happen all the time. And that's okay. It happens, but I think where you can have the strongest impact, where leaders can have a stronger impact and can keep people engaged is to listen to the people
Mhm.
who are impacted by the decisions that you are making,
Yes.
um, so that you at least have that as a guiding principle to help you make those decisions. And also, I think that it's important to always make decisions that are values driven. If an organization doesn't have values set, I think it's important to go through the exercise of setting that because you can then
Mm,
always look back to the values and say, we got to this decision through this lens and we're implementing it this way. And I know you're impacted by this, but this is how we got there. And I think that employees understand and appreciate that a lot more. I can think of one particular instance where it wasn't really a great outcome for us as a company because we didn't do that listening on the front end.
mhm.
There was a desire for an in-office return for the location where our hub is, for them to return to office 3 days a week. The decision was made, policy implemented, a little grumbling under the surface, but we got some really powerful feedback on our next pulse survey that said, okay, we need to adjust this.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not what the team wants. It's not working. There's real no real legitimate business decision to have everyone in the office 3 days a week. And so it was adjusted. Um, so listening, I just think listening is the
Yeah.
key to keeping people engaged. And again, it might not always go their way, but you have something to point back to when you've listened.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, as I listen to you, Jordan, and I hear about you all and what you're doing, there is a good rhythm. I think the rhythm of business people version, but there's a good rhythm, and I love the way you all are using all the pieces of the puzzle. When you think about the values and how you keep those values alive, they are
Yeah.
critically important to an organization's rhythm, and I love that. So think about your growth that you have in front of you, and I know you all are desiring to grow. So how do you adjust with change? Change is always one of those topics that is in front of us when we're trying to grow. How do you all manage change as you look to grow your organization and add more
Yeah.
people?
Yeah. We've had a lot of that the past couple of years, from like leadership changes to a small reduction in force. We experienced a very difficult and very unexpected loss of a senior leader in our organization earlier this year. And so to say it's been tumultuous and somewhat traumatizing for our
Yeah.
team, especially with that loss. And so one thing that we set up to kind of deal with the rapid pace of those changes that were happening with the organization were these small group listening sessions, and sometimes attended by the executive leaders, and sometimes just me with a group of 5 or 6
Mhm.
people, where people really felt comfortable talking, expressing their needs, and stating things that they felt like needed to happen, to deal with the rapid pace of change within the organization. A couple of learnings that we were able to pull from those that I can point to. One was we put a 20-minute daily pause on everybody's calendar because people just needed a little breather and acknowledgement that they could step away from the work and walk, exercise,
Yeah.
take a nap, do whatever they needed to do. And we're acknowledging that you need this. Take the time and do that. We shifted some deadlines with some clients. We
Mhm.
had some tough conversations with clients because our team was a little bit smaller. They were, dealing with a loss. And so we shifted out some deadlines, but that was a direct result of feedback we got from these small group sessions.
Mhm.
And that's something else you can add, to help deal with changes within the organization. It might
Yeah.
not seem like a major initiative, but a lot of learnings can come from things like that.
Absolutely. Certainly, again, I give you my condolences for your loss. I already did read about your senior leader, so I
Oh,
know that was tough in the early of the year.
yeah.
Um, and dealing with change is real, and so that is one that a lot of organizations have not dealt with a lot. But so that certainly your prayers, my prayers are with you.
Thank you. Appreciate
One final question: if you're talking to organizations out there that are trying to figure this rhythm out with people,
it. Yeah.
what do you tell them? And then I really am excited about listening to you and what you're doing. You're doing a lot of things well. What do you tell that organization and get them to believe that they can get there? Give me your thoughts.
I've probably said it way too many times as we've talked, but there's so much value in just getting inputs from the teams to help build out, from the employees and teams to help build out where you're going and what you're doing. And sometimes it's a large group, and sometimes maybe it's just one-on-ones. And maybe it's not just with one person, it's several managers have
Mhm.
one-on-ones, and then they're talking about what they've discovered in those conversations. But in those conversations, one thing that I've learned is, and I've seen sometimes leadership struggle with, is dealing with like moments of pause or silence, and they want to fill those gaps with maybe their own ideas or thoughts or solutions. But I found that sometimes after that pause and somebody's had an opportunity to really think through what they're trying to express, that's when you get some really beautiful information or ideas and thoughts. And so be comfortable with the pause and don't feel like you have to fill the conversation, because sometimes when we fill the conversation, we put our own thoughts out there, and that changes what the person may have been trying to express. Um, and then I'll point back again to leading with the values. Like, how you get to this point you should be able to point to one of those values. I got there because we value authenticity, and
Mm.
the steps to getting here were authentic, something like that. If you can point back to that, it really can impact people in a powerful way.
Wow. Jordan Means, thank you so much to the audience. This is Jordan Means, who is the head of operations and legal for Storyfile, a growing organization, and they're doing great things with people. If you're looking for someone to connect with, I would certainly connect with Jordan Means. So, Jordan, thank you so much for coming on this morning. And to our
You're welcome.
audience, thank you for listening. And we hope you come back to listen to the Rhythm of Business, the People version in the future. So, thanks so much.
Thank you.